Welcome to the Chemistry, Biology, and Math Revision Hub. This video is part of the Biology Topics Revision series, and today we are looking at blood vessels. So let's begin. Blood vessels include the arteries, the capillaries, as well as the veins. Those are the three main types of blood vessels. Of course, there are subdivisions among them whereby you see the smaller arteries we call the arterioles, and the little bit smaller veins we call the venules, but I'm going to categorize the arteries, the capillaries, as well as the veins are the major blood vessels. So arteries carry blood away from the heart. This is oxygenated blood as it goes towards the organs. So it's going to go through the artery. So since blood is coming from the heart, it's going to be at higher pressure. So the artery, structure of the artery has to be designed, or it has to be adapted to carrying blood at a higher pressure. When blood reaches the organs, it flows through the capillaries, which are smaller in size. And of course, we'll talk about the capillary adaptations that allow it to perform its function as well. And later on, as blood leaves the organs, this is the oxygenated blood leaving the organs back to the heart, it has to go through the veins. And again, for this purpose, the veins have a different structure or adaptation to enable them to carry out the function. So I'm going to look at the arteries first. Arteries carry blood away from the heart to the organs. This is oxygenated blood that they carry, so it has to be towards the organs, and it's going to be at a higher pressure, so the arteries should have a structure that allows them to carry blood at a higher pressure. So they should be elastic enough to recoil in case the pressure drops and be able to widen when the pressure increases. So they have a smaller lumen. That is one adaptation. You can see this lumen here in comparison to the other lumen on the other side. This one here is really small. And then they have elastic tissue to stretch and recoil back in shape. This is because when the pressure is going to be varied within the artery. Sometimes the pressure increases and sometimes the pressure decreases based on how the heart is functioning. And this has to be accommodated by the change in the diameter of the lumen of the artery in order to prevent bursting of the blood vessels. So the recoiling in shape, as well as the ability to stretch and the ability of the artery to recoil back into shape, is very important in the artery performing its function. They also have thick muscular walls to control the dilation, or what you call the widening, and the constriction, which is narrowing of the blood vessels. The next one, we're going to go to the veins. Veins carry blood away from the organs towards the heart, that is the oxygenated blood. And because of this, remember, blood has passed through the organs, so it has lost some pressure. So blood going through the veins is going to have a lower pressure than that in the arteries. So because of this, we can see the lumen of the vein has a wider diameter, or it's kind of wider in comparison to the artery. And as we can see here, there is a valve, or you can see in the veins, we have some valves. This part here, you can see as well as that. The valves are there to prevent the backflow of blood. If this is the vein, we expect the valves to be like that if blood is moving in that direction, so that when the blood reaches in this area here, it does not go back. So the veins are going to close to prevent the backflow of blood, so that blood is continuously being moved up. Since most of the time, like our legs are the lower part of the body, if we did not have any valves, maybe gravity would take over and blood will circulate more of our legs than returning back to the heart. So the valves are there for that function or for that purpose. Next, we can see that the walls are thinner and inelastic, or less elastic. I'll not say exactly inelastic, but less elastic in comparison to those of the artery. And this is because there is not much pressure that is going to be generated. So it's going to be thinner and less elastic, meaning they do not have to be so elastic. Lastly, we're going to look at the capillaries. Capillaries are those tiny, tiny blood vessels formed within the organs. And because they are formed within the organs, their purpose is to distribute the blood containing the nutrients closest to the cells. So I'm going to show some demonstration. If this is the cell, I'm going to draw the structure of the capillary. Remember, we said the capillary is one cell thick. So that is the other side of the capillary, and this is the next side. These are cells that I'm drawing. So this is cell 1, a cell, a cell, a cell, a cell, a cell. And these cells I've drawn are making up the outer, or the outer part of the capillary, while this is the cell of the body, cells of the tissue. So if blood is contained within here, let me show you that is blood containing nutrients. So things are going to diffuse towards the cell from the blood, things like glucose as well as oxygen, while on the other side, other things are going to come back, like waste, like CO2. Let me put here oxygen going in and then carbon dioxide returning. So in this case, it means that this wall here has to be thin enough in order to allow for a shorter distance for substances to move from the internal part of the capillary towards the cells that the capillary is delivering the substances to. So to perform that function, they are small enough to fit in between cells. If that was a cell, and this is going to be another cell of the tissue, cell of the tissue within the organ, so we can see the capillary can fit right in between them in order to supply them with the nutrients as well as oxygen. Another thing we can see is the walls are 1 cell thick, as I've shown you. Each wall, you can see that wall and that wall, they're each 1 cell thick. And this is because the distance of the substances have to diffuse has to be short so that the materials can move in and out of the cells. So being 1 cell thick is for efficient diffusion of substances or for efficient exchange of substances between the cells as well as the blood. This brings us to the end of this part of the video, which is blood vessels. I hope to talk to you in the next video. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.